And welcome to our Facebook Live this morning. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in the market town of Brackley in Northamptonshire, which is in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us today. I was live yesterday, so that was Tuesday the 19th of April, and I created this card yesterday online live, and this is featured with the from the garden greenhouse stamp set, as you can see here. And I've just stamped this particular card. I had a piece of basic white card underneath, and on there I stamped the greenhouse to begin with, and then sorry, no I didn't, I added the flowers and foliage at the bottom and then the greenhouse, and then I used a blends pen, one of our blending pens, to just colour in a little bit of detail on the greenhouse. Not that you can see it particularly well there. It's clearer in person. I added some birds as well just to fill out that skyline. So this one was all stamped. And today I thought what I would do is use the stamps again, but also mix them up with some of these papers. So this is the set of papers that go with the Plentiful Plants stamp set, and there's also some matching dies that cut out these elements, and they also cut out some of the elements in the papers. For example, this set of leaves here and this set of leaves here have dies that cut them out, and these papers are still available. And we have this one here that has the assorted pots, and again they coordinate with the stamps and they have matching dies. Morning Jeanette, and good evening to you Kerry in Australia. So these are matching, and so you have dies that can cut these out, but you can easily fussy cut them out as well. And then this one here has the combination of pots and plants, and we also have this one here. And then on the reverse of these pieces we have some natural tones, so some wood, we have some foliage, some grey granite foliage there, and then we have again some wood effects and some paint effects. So it's a lovely set of papers. They are still current, and what I'm going to do is use the papers with the stamp set. Okay, so now this was actually thanks to an idea by another of my coffee and card regulars, the lovely Michelle. And because I'd cut up some of these papers to use as backings for one of the other cards at Coffee and Card, and Michelle saw these and thought what a good idea that would be to cut it up. So thank you Michelle for giving me the inspiration for today. Let's just put this overhead light on, give us a bit of light. I really need to sort out the angle of that camera because it's definitely tilted. I don't want to touch it now, but I will sort it out for later on. I think I need a method of checking that is absolutely straight, because I can see it's tilted backwards and slightly to the left. Okay, so this was yesterday's card, so I'm going to do one, I think, this way round in landscape today. And what I want to do is stamp the greenhouse with some greenery inside, and then have some pots sort of either side of it. That's my plan. And then tomorrow I'm going to step this up a bit by using some of the dies from the greenhouse set. So let me pop those there. So I hope everybody is well this morning or evening. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the greenhouse first, and then I'm going to use some foliage on the inside. Now, if you've got any punches or other foliage stamps, they would work perfectly in combination with the greenhouse. So if you've got, for example, our sprig punch or the flowers and leaves punches, you could combine those as well. I'm going to stamp this one, I think, in espresso today. And I did also think this brick wall would look nice either side of the greenhouse or even sort of underneath, because often greenhouses have a base, don't they? So I did think you could also pop that and then have the greenhouse on top of it. So there's some other ideas for you. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this one up. So this is early espresso. Excellent. Glad to hear that you're well, Kerry, and hope you don't have any connection issues today. Okay, I'm actually going to pop my mat underneath just to give me a little bit of cushioning. So this is our pierce mat, and I'm going to have this a little way up from the bottom so I've got space for my pots and things, like so. There we go. Not sure that is, it's not straight, is it? Let's try that one again. I'm going to put it straight on my block, which might help. Let me have a look. Yeah, it's a bit lopsided on the block. Not that I use the block necessarily for this size to get it straight, but let's give it a fighting chance, shall we? There we go. Okay. Right, so we can get this a little bit straighter. So because it's quite a large stamp, I'm taking the ink pad to the stamp. I am going to take my glasses off and just bring this down a little bit further, closer to me, because obviously I'm at a slight angle doing it underneath the camera. Now put that in the middle roughly, but you could easily put it to one side and have more of a scene here on the right hand side. That's better. Let's whip that down. Okay, and then I've got this stamp here that I'm going to use for the inside, just for a change from this one. I used this one in the front yesterday, and I think I'll change up the colours today as well. So let me grab a different green. Okay, let's try one of our new in colours. This is called Parakeet Party. A nice bright sort of lime green, and it's very well it's similar-ish to Lemon Lime Twist that we had before, and we also had Lucky Limeade, but it's slightly more green than that. I'm just going to ink this up and see if I need to move some of the ink around. No, that's fine. So it's a nice bright green. So I'm going to put these on the inside. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that, but add some flowers. I might add some flower. Shall I add some on the outside? So my plan is to cut out some of these here from the papers. Might cut some of these smaller ones, like so and so, to have them either side. So that's really the wrong colour I've used there. Never mind. That would also look nice inside, wouldn't it? So I'm just going to put a few flowers on there. Morning, Catherine. I hope that you are well. Let's just grab, I've got some gorgeous grape here. This will do. Such a pretty purple. So put a couple down here. Like that. Okay. Now I want to pick out plants that are obviously not too big, but what I could also do is grab a couple of these pots and just have them scattered around. Now they are quite big in comparison to that, but artist license and all that. So I'm just going to take my glasses off and just cut a few of these. Now there are some dies to go with these, so if you have a die cutting machine and you're not a fan of fussy cutting, then that would be the way to go. I'm just going to cut these really quickly. Looks like it's going to be a nice day today. It was cool again this morning, but oh, it is a bit big, isn't it? Perhaps if I have them further down, that would work. Just cut this one. So this paper is from the paper that matches Plentiful Plants, or Perfect Plants. That's the name of the dies. What I'm actually going to do is cut that one across there, make it smaller. Do the same with this one. And let's have these. So we have some lovely new papers coming up in the new catalogue. I'm just going to cut the edges off just for speed. And so I will have a paper share for the new papers, and I'll also have a new in colour share for the new in colours, and that consists of a bit of everything from the 5 new in colours. And you can either opt to have it all in one go, or have it delivered on a monthly basis, so that you get, for 5 months, you get a bit of everything each month, which is always good fun. It's always nice to have post, isn't it? So let's see, I could do this one, and again I'm just going to do a bit of cheating by cutting off the handles and things like that, because I want them smaller, and I'd want to sit here fussy cutting all day long. So let's do this one, but cut it here, so I get a different pot altogether. Now these, there are stamps for this, so I could easily have stamped some of these if I wanted to, but I wanted to just stick with the garden greenhouse stamp set and mix it with some papers. And so it's always a good idea, check your paper stash or your stamp stash, see what else you could put with these. So just by cutting these slightly differently, I'm getting some different looks. Might swap that one over there, I think. Like so. I've got this one here, and so these can go up on dimensionals and things to bring that picture out. And let's see. Like so. Obviously, if you were doing this, you could take more time. And I'm going to I'm going to cut this down so I've got them more sort of, you know, the right sort of sizes, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm happy with that, and I can add some foliage, which I can take from here, or I could stamp some foliage in the background, or I could do a combination. Now the dies cut out this one and this one. I'm just going to cut out a few of these. Just want to minimize the amount of time you're watching me fussy cut, really. I could have die cut them beforehand, couldn't I? But never mind. And also you could use, I've got this punch to hand here, which has got two sets of blossoms on it. If you can see that a little bit better. So I could certainly add that for some 3D effect as well. Let me just check, see who else has joined us. Hi, Catherine. Oh, I think it would actually. Coming in from the side, yes, it would. I think it would. I think you can be quite adventurous, and as you say, I mean the scale here isn't perfect, but if I bring the pots forward, then it looks like the pots are closer. I could also add that bit of brick wall as well. So there's lots of things you can do, and it's always worth just trying different combinations, especially if you're just stamping. So let's just cut down here. As I say, I should perhaps have changed the colour of my plants inside my greenhouse, because they don't go with this at all. It's a bit big for that one, but it would fit in there nicely. And obviously you could have empty pots. If it's something like my garden, I have plenty of empty pots. That looks a bit like a dog bowl now, doesn't it? Wasn't intended to. Okay, I might tuck that one behind. Let's see how that's looking. So we've got some foliage in there. So let's see what else. I wonder if there's anything. You could also have this inside of the greenhouse, couldn't you? You could cut that behind the panel. That would also work. Let's see what we have here. So I'm looking at the scale of things really. This one might work if I cut that piece off, actually, like that. I could utilise that bit potentially. Let's have a look and see. So I am going to add some background sponging in to soften that whole background. I don't know now. That does sort of work, doesn't it? So I'm not going to fussy cut all of this detail, I promise. But I'm just going to cut a few bits of these down. Mainly to give you the ideas that you can then go home and see what you've got. So if you join my class in a box for April, then you'll have some of the 3D greenhouses available to you. You won't have the stamped versions, but they're probably more versatile. I'll be using the dies tomorrow. I just wanted to stick with two slightly simpler versions to start the week. And having our paper snips is perfect for this because they have a very fine point. You can get right into those corners. You don't want children's scissors, which quite rightly have a blunt point at the top. There we go. Okay, so what I could do is put a little bit of, this is like a slight crumb cake backing. So there we go. Obviously, if you were doing this, you could take a lot more time if you wished. Just want to cut that little point out. Okay, just going to cut that little bit off there. To tuck it behind our plant pot, like so. Okay, take these bits out of the way. Now, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to stick with that Parakeet Party ink, because it's a bit too much of a contrast. bring that one in, and then stamp some foliage behind that in there. Right, let me see what people are saying. Oh, bless you, Kerry. Well done. Oh, Jeanette likes fussy cussing. Perfect. Perfect, Jeanette. I like a small amount, but yeah, not mad. So, I am wondering, but I will keep those in there. I was thinking it was a little bit too different, but okay, let's stamp some of this foliage in here. I'm going to use a different, I think I'm going to use a different colour. So I'm certainly happy with that there, and these here in the front. And I can add some more, so if I don't you know, finish all of the detail today, it's not the end of the world. I can add some more to the front. Right, let's clean this off and stamp. Now we've got a mixture here, soft succulent, evening evergreen. So let's take soft succulent again. Okay, so what I want to do is position this here, and I'm just going to put a little pencil line above it so that I can see where to stamp my foliage here. I'm going to take my glasses off. Like so. Perfect. I've got this one here in front, so, and I might do something similar over here. So I've got this combination, which I might pop in there. Let's see if that will fit. Yeah, that would fit on that right hand side. Might bring this down a little bit so it's not quite so rounded. Just going to stamp that off. Just realised it's nearly off my block. Sorry, that's rather in your way, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to do the same, just a little line. There we go. Okay. I've got this one in front. Like so. That's beginning to come together. It's feeling like it's a little bit more connected. So I could, let's see, I could use this one here for a bit of greenery at the front. I think I'll do that. There we go. And I'm going to stick with soft succulent. Just going to move some of the ink so it's a little bit lighter. Just going to move that to the end. So I've just taken the edge of a block, moved it across like so, and then remember to clean your block afterwards. And then actually what I'm going to do is stamp this all the way along the bottom so that I haven't got a harsh line. So my pots will sit on top of that, but it gives me a little bit of a break. And then I'm just going to add in a blending brush with a bit of soft succulent. Actually, I'm going to take it lighter than that, take soft sea foam. Let me just find my glasses. Now I've thrown all my pots everywhere. Okay. So I've got soft sea foam, just because I want it a little bit lighter. And I just want to fill in behind there so it's not all floating. Hopefully I can remember where everything was. Let's turn that over so you've got a better view. So let me bring that up so you can see what I've got so far. Okay, so I'm going to grab a green blending brush, just grab a scrap of paper. Okay. So I'm just adding that green across the bottom. Now you could, if you wanted to, have a piece of card or something and have a harsher line there. I don't need to because I want it to look like it's going into the greenhouse here. And then I'll add blue across the top. So just as a reminder, if you didn't see my live yesterday or you haven't seen my posts recently, we have free shipping for orders placed tomorrow. That's Thursday, 21st of April. It's a minimum order of £60, but then you can have free courier delivery to your address here in the UK. I will be placing an order myself, so if you're local, then you're welcome to join into that. There we go. So that's just softening that edge. And then I'm just going to add a little bit in here. Now the problem with the light colour on blending brush is you can't see as much as I can see. I'm hoping that you can see that okay. Okay, I better get a move on. So that's sort of blending into the background nicely. So that was soft sea foam. I just wanted a lighter green And then now I can grab one of my blues. It's probably got enough on there. And add some in here. So the thing with the blending brush is if you use the same one for the same colours, you may well find you've got enough on there, unless you've left it for a long time. So I always recommend, try it out on your paper first, just in case you've mixed up colours. But if there's enough on there, then utilise that first, because you can always add your colour, you just can't take it away. And I just keep one for each of the main colours. So I've got a blue, a pink, a red, an orange, a purple, a green, a brown. And I do have multiples of blues and greens, mainly for coffee and card, because people then can be doing it at the same time. But if you're at home and it's just you, then you really only need one. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Thank you, Kerry. As I say, it's always so much lighter on the camera. I'll try and do a closer up photo, that might help, mightn't it? Okay, so there's my background, and now I've got to find all my plants again and pop them down. So I seem to remember I had that combination and that. So can you see, let's get this the right way around, having those stamp that across the bottom, it really blends those into the background, if you can see that now, whereas before it was a little bit harsher. And then I have this one here, and then our little sort of, whatever this is, like so. Don't want to cover up too much of my greenhouse. So I'm happy with that. I could add a few more pots later on if I wanted to. It's not very straight. There we go. But I'm happy with that effect. So you could use a combination of stamping, you could use die cut flowers, you could use the die cut leaves from here, that would work particularly well. Any combination really. So I recommend just looking and seeing what you've got at home that you can use. Do I keep one for light and dark? I don't, Kerry, because I only tend to use light colours. If you know me, I'm a bit of a subtle person, so I don't tend to, but I would use one of my blues for a darker blue, and then if it's too dark, you can wash them out, just rinse them out under the tap with a little bit of washing up liquid or something, and then let them air dry, and then they might be stained, but they'll be clean. Or just use it on your background as much, you know, on some paper to get rid of it. So I think I might put my birds across here like I did yesterday, and then mount this up and we're ready to go. I'm not going to use this pot. Having cut it down, it looks a bit like a dog bowl. That wasn't really what I wanted. So let's pop these birds on again like I did yesterday, and you could use any birds from any set that you've got. This is from On the Horizon, but if you've got beautiful moments or anything with the girls on the beach, that has some in. So I'm going to do those there. And it's here. Like so. Okay, so let's pop these on. Take my cushion out of the way, and I'm going to use some dimensionals, I think, for these. Give them a little bit of interest. And what you can do with the pots, although the pots are quite small, you can give them a little bit more interest by taking a brown blending brush and just adding a little bit of detail, for example on one side or both sides, if you can see that. Let me add a little bit of espresso. You'll see it a little bit more on this one. So don't be afraid to take your sort of basic pieces and add detail to them. Let's come away from the card. There we go. So that's just got a little bit more detail to it. Do the same with this one. And this also stops you having any white edges where you've cut it from the card. Okay, that one's nice and dark. Do a little bit on this one, so you could weather them. So I've used the papers, but if you haven't got the papers, you've probably got stamps with foliage or pots, or you could just cut a pot out of some brown card. It's you know, not particularly tricky shape, is it? Okay, so I'm going to pop this on here. Now I have got my little pencil line, but I'm just going to make sure that I've lifted up a little bit from that. Let's get the right pot. Where's the other one gone? There it is. I had the other one there, didn't I? But I might. Oh, that's fine. I was going to swap them over, but I don't need to. So just going to pop that one on there. Like so. And then I've got this one here. And what I'm actually going to do with the green is just apply that across the top. Oh, bless you, Jill. Nice to have you on board, Jill. Whoops. I hadn't spotted you'd arrived, I'm sorry. So again, just use your blending brush on the edges of any cutouts, and then you'll get you'll lose any of that background. So I think what I might do is actually put that one flat so it's behind. So a little bit of glue. This is the one that hasn't got any glue in it. Must take that one out of circulation. one. So I'm just going to watch that glue now. So I think I'm going to tuck that just slightly behind, and then pop our whatever that is on top. And then we had this one, didn't we? Not quite sure which way that goes now. Like that. And I'll have this one on top, so I'll sort of reverse them round. So that one will go flat. Like so. And then this one with that behind. So there we go. So I hope everybody's got something nice planned today. Not working too hard. I expect Jill's probably working. She's not long been back from holiday. So no doubt catching up. It's going to go onto there. And I think because this is quite fine, I'm going to put this one flat. Just tuck that in there. And obviously you could go on and add more if you wanted to, depending on what pots and things you've got. So all that remains is for me to pop that onto a layer and onto a card. So let's see, I've got from yesterday, I've got this one here and some early espresso. It's quite nice. I could use the same colour card that I've used here, our new Parakeet Party, but I quite like that as it is, with that combination. So I think that's what I'll do. Yes, well done, Jill, I saw that. It's always exciting to get parcels though, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to cut this layer down. Let me see if I've got another one. No. So this is going to be 10 centimetres by 14.35 or 0.3 if you prefer. And then I'll just quickly put those layers together. Like so. So, thank you for joining me this morning. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, and my normal time is 7 PM tomorrow. Which I know doesn't suit you, Carrie, I'm sorry. There we go. That's going to go on to our soft succulent layer. And I haven't added a sentiment for this. I think this would be a nice retirement card, especially for somebody who loves gardening, or a birthday card for somebody who loves gardening. Or even a new home card. I think it would work as. Okay, so there's our finished card. I hope you like it. So I used the stamps that I've used have all come from Garden Greenhouse. with the exception of the birds. Okay, and then I've used the papers from Perfect Plants, Plentiful Plants, that's still available, to fill in this detail, but you could easily stamp or punch out or die cut, you know, other shrubs and things like that to put on the front. I might add another one in here because this came out paler than I thought, so I could add a little bit more detail, but as far as the main card is concerned, that's all done and dusted. Let me bring it up so you can see. I need to find a little bird to sit on the roof. I must look through my stamp sets and find one that's the right sort of scale. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate, I knew what you meant, Kerry. I appreciate you joining me, and I hope you have a good day, afternoon, evening. Obviously, if you're watching on catch up, then thank you. And if you have any queries, then don't hesitate to message me, and I'll get back to you with any answers as required. And don't forget, free shipping on all orders tomorrow, 21st of April. That's Thursday. And that runs effectively from midnight tonight to 11 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed. Take care now. Bye for now.